There it goes.
There it goes.
Good job.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Awesome.
God, I'm sitting there like smoking my cigarette. I'm like, okay, remember to hit start broadcast, and then yeah, it only took a minute to forget it. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the interview kind of did suck because at least not like that. But I mean, it was just my first one was like 12 minutes. I was really surprised how long I talked without even knowing it. And then second try, you get like 9 minutes in and you screw up. And you're like, oh great, okay, it's time to start all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did mine so many times it drove me nuts. And by the time I was done, I was just exhausted and frustrated.
Jen, is it? Yeah. All right, so it looks like we have to talk about the crisis management and leadership and all that fun stuff. Okay. Maybe we don't kick that bad boy off, or
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Go for it, Christine.
I was like, I had a chance to watch the video, but it wasn't. It's really, really long.
Yeah.
But it's also a really great example of what not to do in a crisis.
Have you guys watched the movie Deepwater Horizon? It's all about that. It's all about that spill. It's just a lot more interesting the way they portray it. They definitely did ignore a bunch of safety precautions, right? So I think making sure to be proactive and taking care of problems is definitely important to, crisis leadership.
I remember, like, I think their engineers were saying too that it was pretty close to blowing out, I guess, the well. So I kind of saw that. Definitely. And trying to cover it up and all that stuff. Not a good thing.
But doesn't it make you think that a lot of companies do that, try to hide stuff, hide problems so that, they don't lose money, and then eventually it comes out, becomes a bigger thing. They should just take care of it from the beginning.
I'd like to think that most companies don't do it intentionally. It does make me wonder, though, if you're a CEO of a really large company and you hear, one report of something that sounds suspicious, and then 10 years later you hear something else, and then 5 years later you hear something else. Realistically, if these all sound like very isolated incidents, would someone necessarily piece them all together, especially if you've gone through, 2 or 3 different changes in leaders, over that really long period of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work.
Oh, sorry. I don't think I realistically would.
I have to admit, too, it is like we were talking last week about how, working in sales, working with sales and whatnot. I mean, it's not really related to like crisis management, I guess you could say, but I do kind of understand that when a customer asks you a question like, oh, does it do this or does your product do that? And it can't or it doesn't do it well. And you kind of have that temptation to kind of cover it up or downplay it or just kind of move past it just so you can get the sale. So you kind of understand that, I guess, their motivation behind it, why they do it. But at the same time, when I'm honest with the customer, you usually see a better result from that anyways. Because like, oh, I didn't really care about that. Or, oh, that's fine, I'll get over it. So it seems to work better that way.
Oh, yeah. I worked for Lexus, and during the whole Toyota recall, where the cars were driving on their own, and killing people,
That happened here, yeah.
That was a huge crisis. And Toyota, obviously, they never really proved that it was the Toyota's fault. They couldn't really make 100% of it. And it took Toyota a while to kind of like say, we're just going to accept responsibility. We're going to recall all the cars. We're going to bring them in all to the dealerships. And they started like trimming the gas pedals so that it wouldn't get stuck. And I had a bunch of people come into the dealership, asking like, is my car gonna, go on its own? Is it gonna do this? Is it gonna do that? And a lot of it was just saying like, what, your car's gonna be inspected. We'll make sure that nothing wrong with it, and we'll make sure that you have peace of mind, when you go back and driving your car. So I think Toyota did kind of drop the ball in the beginning, but then picked it up and kept their credibility of having a well-made car. So.
Interesting point on that too. I remember I had to do something. I did a little bit of research on I'm not gonna mispronounce his first name, but like, is it Akio Toyota? the current CEO or president.
Mhm.
It was more of like a cultural difference when it comes to crisis management, because they're more, with the Japanese culture, it's more of, the collectivist side of things. So they wanted more of a group consensus on how to move forward with all of this. That again. So that may have, they were saying that may have kind of what may have delayed his initial reactions, was he was hoping for like a group consensus before he did anything with it, really, I guess you could say. I don't know how much that tied into it too, though. Hi, Jenna.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, did you hear? Sorry, it's kind of like a switch gear there, but did you pick up our conversation at all on the database and all that fun stuff?
No, I couldn't hear you guys. I could just see you guys.
Would it be easier for you if we kind of like dumped our stuff into a Word doc, like to send it to you as a Word doc so you can put it all together?
Yeah, Word or Excel doesn't matter, and then I'll just put it all in. I was thinking in Excel format, but I'll see what looks better.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter how we send it to you, though. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Has anyone had to deal with a crisis at work or anything like that?
We have it work. So we had so you guys know I work for Intuit, and we do a lot with taxes, filing taxes. So we had a situation with a particular state where we had some errors in one of our programs, and the state actually notified every single resident to not use our products.
Man, crazy.
And it was right in the middle of tax season, incredibly busy time. And we have, there's probably 1 in 4 tax returns in the United States go through Intuit. So it's
got my money.
substantial. So we had to, one, kind of calm down all of the people that have been using the software well, that we had to try to protect reputation. We also had to repair this relationship with the state, which we've been able to do, but it's been literally a 5-year process now. In that state, their Department of Taxation person was best friends with the Commissioner of Revenue in another state, and so they had reached out to that state and said, hey, probably have them check your stuff. And so it kind of snowballed into this very large thing that kind of disrupted relationships that we had with all these different state taxing authorities. So I think our group handled it well, but it's similar to one of those situations like the BP situation where it's, hey, there's this little trickle of stuff that comes in, like, hey, there's this one defect on this one form, or there's this one issue with this one person's return, that unless somebody had deliberately put all of this together, we would have never known it was this big thing, because we couldn't see it all happening. The state saw it happening. So that's why I said I can see where it would be hard to recognize sometimes. Because if you're just looking at a single data point at a time, kind of trickling in, it's hard to put it all together into one giant problem. It's not really obvious.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's kind of, sorry.
Oh, no, go for it.
There was a crisis, I would say, at my job last year. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but the publicity pamphlets for one of the elections last year.
Mm-hmm.
House. Nobody heard about it? Okay, good. But there was like 200,000 households that didn't get a publicity pamphlet because the vendor that we used with our addresses. And so we had to notify all 200,000 households that this is coming. And it turned into this huge media thing. So then on the next election, I think it was the general, we went with a new vendor, and that vendor messed up and mixed the English and Spanish books together. So it was like, it was a mess, but that's something that our office has to go through now to find out what we can do in the future to make it so our vendor, but it turned into a huge media thing.
No, I worked for, have you guys ever heard of Ashford University or Bridgepoint Education at all? They're for profit.
I haven't heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, for-profit university. ITC Tech was recently defunded by the federal, or at least they couldn't accept federal student loans anymore for ITC Tech, which basically just ruined because that was all the revenue. But the one I worked for as well was pretty much the exact same thing. I mean, we dealt a lot with military. A lot of kids were being financed with their government student loans and whatnot. And they started a congressional investigation specifically on our university just because of the recruiting practices. Because I was in sales there for like 6 months. I hated that job. I couldn't do it. And it was you were paid your promotions. This was the only job I've ever been at where you actually faced a pay cut if you didn't hit like certain performance numbers. I mean, well, granted they could fire you too, but so it was all raises based on how many students you enrolled, and Congress obviously didn't like that because it's a school. You're not really supposed to be using these vicious sales tactics on people and whatnot. The leaders there, I think, handled it pretty crappily, actually. I mean, it was kind of par for the course for the organization, I think. No offense for some people who work there, but anyways, it's just they came out in this little town hall meeting and tried to, make it sound like this small little thing, like nothing was going on, and they were on the up and up, and they weren't doing anything wrong, even though we could see it personally on the sales floor. We knew what the tactics were like, and it was just, you could tell they were just there to make themselves look good. It wasn't a good way of handling it, I don't think.
I will say one of the things that we've done now, similar, is our CEO did a really great job of taking ownership of the whole situation and kind of saying, you know what, we're gonna make changes. But then we've actually done it. So sometimes a leader will kind of step in and say, hey, yeah, we own this, and we're gonna totally do things different, and then everything just kind of goes back to status quo. And we've invested more in product testing and QA and working closely with the states to make sure things are working on both sides. And so it has been nice to see that we've actually kind of followed through on what we said we were going to do. Instead of the situation like you just described, Chris, where it was just kind of like kind of blows over.
I forgot to add to it even worse on top of it because they finally, Congress says that you guys can't pay your enrollment people based off of performance and how many students they enroll, so they just pay them a flat rate. That was a flat rate, and every 6 months instead of evaluation for pay raises, you were evaluated whether or not you kept your job. So what they ended up doing was getting rid of all the people there that were making $90,000 a year, and then bringing all these new people making $40,000 a year, and why pay these people more to do the same job? So people are now just motivated by keeping their jobs rather than money, so it's assured money in the long run. It was like kind of a crappy tactic there too. So. If it helps, though, it looks like we hit our time. Do you guys add-ons anything at all?
I don't know. You guys think that I guess not a little off topic, but you know how North Korea and U.S. have high tensions? Anyone think that we're gonna go to war? You think our crisis leadership will be good?
I read something interesting today. I don't know how. I have to actually look more into it, but apparently, oil or gas prices are going up in North Korea, and their main supplier is China. And we just recently had their president here. Trump's running around saying, if you guys don't do anything about it, we will. It looks like China might actually be cutting off some of the oil supplies to North Korea, or just doing so to significantly increase price, which is basically their only supplier. And without oil, you can't run a nation, you can't run a military. So interesting to see if that's any truth to that, or how that could pan out if there is truth to it.
I hope so too, because I know that they were China sent Korea's coal back, so they weren't buying any other coal, and obviously trying to squeeze them. Hopefully, it'll kind of make them, relax, not be as aggressive. But I think reading about all this makes me think about a lot more about the presidency and how important it is when it comes to international politics, and just how much he can affect us. Actually going into war, doing stuff like that. So hopefully he has his book and he can read it.
I'm taking a organizers class if you guys haven't, and I might actually suggest it. It's kind of interesting. There's a lot that goes into these decisions. There's a lot of consequences off stupid little things you may not even think about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I can't screw that up though. Cool. Yeah, if you guys just keep in touch if you guys have any questions on like if you know, obviously we have like Shonda's number, so if you have any issues with the assignment, just let me know or let anybody know.
Yeah, and then if you guys want, you can email me your part of the assignment by, I want to say Thursday morning, just to give everybody a good chance to get everything in, and then Thursday afternoon, well, probably like mid morning, late morning, I'll send a copy of like what I have put together.
And it's due Thursday by 5, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to
Okay.
say by 12, I'll send out just so you guys can see what you guys like or think, or if you guys want me to do it Wednesday night, it's up to you. What works better for you?
Well, I'll try to get my piece in either tonight or tomorrow. That way you have it, and then whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, but
I
I'll
think
definitely
if we
send
can
a draft,
turn it in by tomorrow,
let you guys know.
or if we can get it to you by tomorrow, Jenna, then we can, if you can compile by like Wednesday night, Thursday morning, that way we've got a buffer just in case anything happens. We've got a little bit of extra time.
All right, so Wednesday night I'll send out what I've compiled.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll get my stuff out to you tomorrow too, just so we have it, so I have it done out of the way.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Cool.
Enjoy my interview, guys. I'm sure you guys will like it.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right, have a good
Bye.
day.
For the week.
See ya.
Bye.